Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Joffrey Noodle Legs here again today. Today we've got another horror video today. This is a bit of a different one. Today I'm going through films that came out in the 1980s that were smash hits due to VHS format. I mean, some of them went to the cinema but didn't become very big or big hits in the cinema. But when they were VHS, they become like classics and got their own following and cult classics. And some films went straight to VHS and got like everybody sort of rented them out, and they were really popular films. So it's not a top 10. I'm just going to go through some that I thought were due to VHS became popular films. So first up, we got Robocop. I believe again this had hit the cinema, but it wasn't until the VHS came out that it became like really popular. Everybody rented it out. Everybody brought it, and it would become a really popular film. It's an okay film, Robocop. Not one of the best, but it's a good fun watch. It's really gory. Another one is a Wes Craven film called The Hills Have Eyes. Now, again, this was really popular on VHS. Every time I went into Video Choices, all these sort of video stores, they always had Hills of Eyes on their shelves. And it was always rented out. And I remember buying a pre-owned X-Rental. I always used to buy X-Rental films back then because I just prefer them. Because you used to get films that weren't released like commercially before they were, and they were cheaper as well, X-Rental. Another one is David Cronenberg film, Scanners. Talked about it before. It's a classic 80s film about telepathy. It's a really, really good film, Scanners, if you've never seen it. Again, the VHS market, this was famous. You saw this on all the shelves in the video stores, Scanners. So again, before if VHS hadn't come around, these sort of films would not have probably been as popular as they are now, because they probably would have made most cinemas. Because cinemas around the 80s were wanting to show things like E.T. and Poltergeist and all these sort of Steven Spielberg films and things like that. They were the popular cinema films, and a lot of these films just got washed by. Next up was a Video Nasty, Evil Dead, as we all know it. Fantastic film. Again, this was a VHS classic. Everybody rented it, everybody brought it, and it was just like, and it got its name through VHS. Another one that I only ever saw available on VHS, another Wes Craven film, and that was Shocker. Again, everybody rented this out when it was out on VHS. I don't know if it got a cinema release, I'm not sure, but it was a VHS hit, definitely. It's an okay film. It's not one of the best. It's alright, you know. It's about this guy goes to the electric chair and survives, and he sort of like goes through the electric and kills people and stuff. It's an okay film. It's a fun watch. Nothing serious there. This one's a classic film though, which is really good, and that's The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer. Again, VHS made this film really popular. This is a great film. It's a hitchhiker film. It's a car chase film really, but it's got horror elements to it. I would still class it as a horror film because there's some horrible things that happen in that film. But it's a really good classic 80s film. Highly recommend watching The Hitcher. Demons, again, I only ever seen that available on VHS. I never saw it with a cinema release in this country. Probably in Italy because it's an Italian film, but in this country it got popular because of the VHS storm, and that was another one that you would see regularly on your shelves. And it was the cover that you thought, oh, I must watch that, you know. And you take it home, and it's really, really gory and great films. I don't know if this has got the original VHS cover in there. I don't think it does, which is a shame. Wish I had a photo of it in there if you remember it. But yeah, that's cool. Another one is a Bruce Campbell film, Maniac Cop. Again, I only ever really saw this on the VHS rental shelves. I never saw it in the cinema. I remember buying this as an X-Rental copy on VHS. I'm sorry I've not got VHS videos to show you. I don't keep them anymore. They take up too much space. But these films, I've owned all these on VHS at some stage. Maniac Cop. This one was a bit of a rarer one to see on the shelf, and it's called Edge of the Axe. I did see it on a few sort of shelves, as like it was always under the sort of cheap sort of $1.99 rental or $2.99 rental per night, where all the rest were like $4.99, $3.99. This was always one of the cheaper ones. I never brought it. I always liked the cover, and I never brought it. So when I saw this come out on Blu-ray, I finally picked it up and actually quite enjoyed it, and I wish I got it back in that day. Here's another one, Madman. This was another common 80s slasher about Madman Mars. Again, it's another video nasty. Again, it come to notoriety as a VHS film, and it was a video nasty, and it was banned. And yeah, I remember seeing that on a few shelves. Now this one I've spoken about before, Street Trash. It's a classic sort of 80s sort of horror film, quite gory. It's what they call a melt film. And I told you the premises stories about these bums in like, I think it's New York, and they drink this whiskey that makes them melt, and it's quite a. You might remember the original cover. The original cover looked like that in the on the VHS boxes, and you would have seen that pretty much on every shelf in every rental store. Street Trash. Stephen King one next. Pet Sematary. Again, that became really sort of famous as a rental rather than a cinema release. I think it did get a cinema release, but it was one of those ones that came of its own in the rental market on the VHS, and I think that's what made that film successful. Wes Craven again, very popular in this video. Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, most of these were on VHS rentals, and I remember seeing a couple in the cinema, but most of them, that again, this really come popular through the VHS format, and it was like everyone rented it, everybody brought it, and it was a really, really good sort of film. I think the VHS helped the horror genre massively, because most of these films would never get a cinema release, so it really helped massively to sort of like to actually come out. Here's one that you don't see very often, and was quite a hit at the time. That's Galaxy of Terror, which is like a science fiction horror. That one was always out and about. I've seen it on the shelves. Not in this cover. It was a different cover, I think, when I saw it. I'm trying to think if there's a picture of the original cover on this. Yeah, that was the cover I remember. Galaxy of Terror, but I do actually prefer the new one. It's a really good film. It's a really cheap, nasty alien rip-off film, but it's really, really good. It's a good fun watch. Excellent film if you like sci-fi. I love that. Here's a major blockbuster that did do quite well in the cinema, but when it hit VHS, it become really, really popular. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. I would still include this in the horror films as a sci-fi horror. Yeah, I think everybody must have rented this and bought this when it came out. So that's most definitely on there for a VHS blockbuster. Got a couple more. Night of the Creeps. You might remember this film. I've mentioned it before. It's a good film. It's an 80s teen high school flick horror film. And again, it came to its notoriety when it went onto the VHS. Everybody rented it out. Night of the Creeps, because renting films back then was the thing, because it was so cheap. So Night of the Creeps. Last up, we have Serpent and the Rainbow, Wes Craven film once again. I've talked about this film before. I remember buying this on VHS and I remember renting it. It was a great film, and it's definitely worth a good watch. So there are loads more films, but they're just sort of like some I wanted to pick out and show you today, that I think that if it wasn't for VHS, they wouldn't have been popular or have cult followings or made, you know, great. There's other films, obviously, Friday the 13th, all these sort of films, all down to VHS. So I think that was the media that sort of really made horror accessible to the public, because cinema, you would only get like big expensive horror films coming through with big budgets, you know, like The Omen, and all these sort of big budget films would only make the cinema. Anyway, that's going to end today's video. I hope you like this little trip down VHS lane, and please go and check out Horror Hands if you get a chance, and the Horror Geek channels, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.